Welcome to Rangers Radio on the Matchday show, the world's one and only unique live phone-in show for Rangers supporters all over the world. Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, hello, good afternoon and welcome back to Rangers Radio. Hibs 0, Rangers 0, an exciting but disappointing game at Easter Road. Join myself, Oxchair, back in the shows. Robert, Robert, I really don't know where to start with that, mate.
No, mate, me neither. It was a pretty woeful performance, if I'm being honest, mate. I don't think we'd done enough at all to even win the game.
Well, you're not going to win the game if you don't have an effort and target, mate.
No, you're right. It was very much invisible, the final third, particularly today. No creating chances at all.
The reverted to type. I thought we started okay. First 10, 15 minutes, we looked as if we were palming a bit from side to side, but the ball's in and the passing, again, what we talked about pre-show, mate. We've got guys that are only good passers of the ball, you know. Casimir showed up and particularly Adsgaard. A wee shimmy, gives himself space and then gets the ball took him. I thought he was dreadful, appalling how he stayed on for so long, along with others I may add, but Adsgaard, in that second half, you would have known he was on the pitch. So we started okay, and then Hibs slowly found a foothold, and they were the better side the second half and the first half, mate, and Jack Butland kept us in it.
He did. If anybody was going to go in and win the game, Ox, you had to say it was Hibs. They were threatening more. We were getting exposed. We looked a lot vulnerable at the back as well as at set pieces as well, I thought today. We didn't impose ourselves at all in the final third or even at set pieces. Again, there was a lot of players underperforming, which was surprising given where we have been domestically, but we never done enough, mate. Simple as that.
I gave two players pass marks, mate. Chimamatri and Fernandes, and I suppose Suter as well, who done his job, and Butland. There you go, because Jack Butland done nothing wrong and made a good save. Yeah, outfield when you're Suter's headers and the clearance. Says that he done his job. Fernandes done some good things at time. I know he has his heart in his mouth at times with the other piece he done okay, and Chikamatre particularly for the first half I thought he was our best player, but died a wee bit in the second half. The rest huffed and puffed, mate. The front four collectively were appalling and individually rotten, mate.
Aye, I can't disagree with any of that, mate. I thought the first, as you said, 15, 20 minutes, Chuck Wiani, I thought was kind of getting stuck in. He was winning the ball back, some kind of just simple touches away from players, keeping it simple. But other than that, mate, again, when you're saying your centre-back, John Suter was probably your standout kind of man of the match. If you could even give him that kind of award after a whole team performance like that, then that tells you exactly where the game was played and how it was played. Again, he was the only one trying to put balls through lines as well. A couple of good times he's found players in advanced positions, but once we're in that final third, it breaks down and then he's in the box, clearing lines away, heading the ball away. So I think that sums it up when you're saying your centre back is the standout outfield player.
Aye, we created next to nothing, mate. Obviously, we'll get the goal. That'll be a flashpoint. I've seen people say online, but to the naked eye, I thought he was offside, mate. But when I seen it back, I thought, oh, we could get maybe a break here. It was a nice finish from Mikey Moore, who up to that point, I thought gave the ball away 2 or 3 times when he came on the pitch. But then he, to be fair to him, after that moment, he grew in it and done okay. But look, man, that was my only shot of effort, mate. I can't remember their goalkeeper having to make a save. Our set pieces were poor. We lacked intensity. We you know, it just. I don't know if you can blame Thursday, mate. I mean, who's played all the games? I mean, Magoma came off at half time. Fernandes and Raskin. Diamondi didn't start. Asgard come on late on Thursday night. Suter come on at half time and managed 90 of the day. Sterling was fresh. Scott Wilson was fresh. Big chicken match up front, maybe. But I don't think he had a good game. His first touch was poor at times. He looked like the player for the start of the season. Gassama, to me, he was on a par with Asgard, if I'm honest. It's all right making that turn, and he done it the first time a couple of times, and then he can't pass the ball, mate. He really can't pass the ball. Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, what I'm seeing, but so Scott Wilson at the wing didn't do a lot again, mate. Looked as if he's just getting up to speed, and we paid a price for it, mate. So, look, happy with the team. Don't want to criticise the manager for the selection, but criticise the manager sometimes for that shape, mate. We gave away the midfield, and because we gave away the midfield, mate, they were just getting right through in tappies defensively.
Aye, they were, and you thought maybe at half time you'd have maybe rectified that. I know in the second half they didn't create as much as they did in the first half, but there were still moments where our play was just resulting in them getting in behind. The Achilles heel that seems to be throughout this whole season so far is still our passing and our decision making. Again, I thought the passing today was poor. Overall, you could say the first 10, 15 minutes it was safe possession. There was nothing real cutting edge. Suter tried a few times with balls in behind, like I said earlier, but other than that, mate, there was very little offered from anybody else in the park. It was a real poor performance. And I'm not going to give Thursdays an excuse, as you said. Players were fresh, players are recovered well, and they've played many a games this season already, Thursday to Sunday, so they know what it's got to take. But ultimately, the bottom line is we never created enough to even get a goal or win the game, mate. I know you'll touch on the Mikey Moore goal itself, but to me, I think it's just marginally offside. I would need to see it back again properly with the lines and things, but marginally offside. But you can't rest your laurels in that one decision, mate. Overall,
No,
the game wasn't good enough to win.
I'd like to know what the linesman said if they gave it offside, because he must have some eyes. There you go.
Aye, well, that's the thing. You never hear these things. You never find out what's the verbals said during the game itself. But listen, we can't hinge it on that one decision. The rest of the game overall wasn't good enough. It's as simple as that.
No, we never showed the desire or the hunger, and we never created enough. It was simple as that, mate. And we're meant to have creative players on the park there with Asgard, Olsen, and Gassman, mate. And they contributed nothing to creativity, mate. Yeah, they all done decent turns, decent spins. Yeah, ultimately we created nothing, mate. Nothing. But I cannot remember their goalkeeper having a safety, mate, for a shot.
No, the only ones I can remember is the Moore one, and I can't remember if we even get one away in the first half, if it was even considered a shot or whatever. But the keeper was kept quiet. And I know over the past few weeks where we've not created enough, we've got away with getting goals from set pieces. But even today, they weren't great either to rely on.
No. I mean, we just huffed and puffed, mate, and at times we're shit. We were all over the place, and people just getting to run on you, and they were just standing out wide, and we couldn't react. And I think you've seen that in the first half when Sterling get booked. The guy get played the ball out of him. He's in acres of space. I get it. That'll be the argument. That's how we keep the clean sheets, best defence in the league, and whatever you want to say, because we play compact. But you get away the wings, you're just inviting crosses, and obviously they had the chance for the shot that Butland saved. They had a couple of ones that if the guy gets it right, Butland's not saving it because it's 6 yards out, and they just didn't quite get the cross right, and they didn't heat it right, mate. And we were fortunate in that first half to go out of there, no conceding a goal, when it didn't look as if we could score one, never mind two, if I'm honest.
No, again, you're right, mate. It's hard to disagree with any of that because once you give up space out in the wings, I know a lot of teams will try and do that and stay compact in the middle, as you're saying, try and defend the box, but the crosses we're putting in were quite threatening, as you said. Only took one a slip from one of the defenders or a clean header at goal, and they could have had a real good chance of getting it on target and punishing us for it. We've seen it in the early part of the season where we gave up the wings, we were bombarded with crosses and shots, and it almost kind of reflected a wee bit like that again today. I know you said Chermiti was like the old Chermiti before, then the kind of sometimes the way the shape and the play was it looked a wee bit like it reverted back to allowing teams to give the space and not doing the press. First 15, the press was there, but then as soon as Hibs got control of the game, we dropped off. Chamiti wasn't pressing the centre backs, he's sitting in the centre circle. There was no real urgency about anything we'd done today, mate. Not a thing.
And also the fact is, to be fair in Big Shermity, mate, sometimes when he was getting the ball, there was another orange jersey in the pitch, and that's another thing. Rangers should be playing in blue. Don't get me started. I know you want to sell strips and all that, but because you play it in the telly doesn't mean people go and buy it. Rangers should be playing in blue.
I know that's one of your pet peeves, mate. Playing
When we
blue
can,
when you
mate,
can.
yeah.
Aye, of
I
course,
get
of
it.
course.
I get it during the week, yeah.
Mhm.
I get it during the week.
Aye, no,
You
I
know?
get it. It's a observation and a pet peeve, and another observation I picked up today, mate. See, particularly when Hibs had corners, we had every single person in the box, or at least the rest of them in the box, and when we won out for the short corner, we don't leave MD up to catch counter attacks. And if we are doing so well defensively, clearing lines or bottling punches, there's nobody to hit. I don't know why
What
Gasman is not up there
what
for
is
pace.
what is Gasserman going to do for that situation apart from getting the white? You might as well
Exactly.
store him at the halfway line, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Just leave somebody back because it means they've got to leave maybe one or two back, probably two ways pace. But it gives us an outball because as soon as we clear the lines, it's just getting recycled back into us and we're putting ourselves under pressure. It's just an observation I picked up today, but it's been in other games I've noticed that particularly. Europe as well, but you would think with the pace we've got in that final third, you would leave somebody up as an outball, considering the fact we're doing so much focus on set pieces with the set piece coach defensively and attacking. But today, mate, again, I can't emphasise enough, it was just simply not good enough.
Aye, that sums it up. Right, we better get the phone lines open, Brara.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
I'm disappointed, mate. I'm disappointed. There's a ways, you know, and obviously we've got a good record at Easter Road, but we've had some hard games, mate, when you've come away. You maybe felt, you know, you nicked it, and there's other times when we're drew when we felt we should have won. But today, mate, we might have got more than we deserved because we hardly threatened. You know, you're right, it might keep moving up. Right, you can argue about that all day long, but for the piece, mate, we threatened very little.
And that's the frustration thing because of how well we have been playing and grinding results. Again, you're frustrated coming away from that because the positive is you've kept a clean sheet, but you would be a wee bit saying it's a point gained if we had, or 2 points lost if we had peppered the goal and keep with a man of match performance. We've done nothing. So again, I agree. I think we've probably come away with a point gained and Hibs have lost 2 points. That kind of sums it up for me, mate.
Aye, and that's frustrating because of where we are, mate, and what we're looking to achieve. Yeah, there was just, there was, you know,
There was
we
no
didn't
drive
get
or urgency.
no,
No
there was
drive
no
or urgency.
urgency, and people talk about leadership. You know, Mr. Fox had pointed out before we came on the air there, just quickly. You know, when Raskin, that one at Raskin, I'd need to see it back, mate, because when I never paid a lot of attention to the replay at the time, but he said that Raskin cleaned out and the guy had already been booked, but I never picked up on that, mate. Yeah, but there you go, Mr. Fox is usually no far away, mate.
You did. It was a boy new. He clipped his heels, blindsided the referee. So that's where VAR should come in because he's impacted the play. Raskin gets blocked off. He's clipped his heels. It's a foul all day long. It's an off the ball incident, which would normally result in a yellow card in any other day of the week. But
Is VAR allowed to get involved
well,
in
if it's an off the ball
bookings?
incident, I would imagine if it's an
Aye.
off the ball incident, mate. I would imagine so. Whether it goes down to the we'd only got a second yellow card, they can't do it. Then what rules that in place for? What's the point in that? Because does that mean players can just trip people up knowing that they're safe and it doesn't merit violent conduct to be a straight red?
Yellow card. Aye, I get you, mate. I get you. Think back to when John Roosevelt gets sent off for clipping somebody's heels 70 yards for his own goal, remember?
Yep. All we're asking for is consistency. We're not saying it's only us. There's other teams that are affected too, but consistency would be a start. But again, not going to hinge on that, mate.
I'll take you and Mr. Fox on your moments, and again, I mean, you can't blame the referee. He can't get it if he doesn't see it. Even I thought he's a strange referee, that, isn't he?
Oh, he is, aye. Well, I don't know about you, mate, but in the first half in particular, I don't know how many corners he never gave us when it looked quite clearly that it was corners to us. But again, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses that refereeing decisions cost us. At the end of the day, the team never turned up enough to go and win a game. So
you're spot on. We can huff and puff all we want about that, mate. But we never won that football game today, and I'll say it, mate, because we were crap.
Aye, there's no other word for it, mate. Honestly, if somebody can come on and tell us any kind of difference in that or how they saw it, would be good to hear. But ultimately, positive is the clean sheet. We never lost the game, but the frustration is we didn't create enough. Nobody took the game by the scruff of the neck to try and impose themselves and try and create something other than John Suter at times, which again is a sad indictment when you're asking your centre half. Fernandez at times was popping up further up the park than most. So again, it tells you exactly how that game panned out.
But aye. If you take 90 minutes last week in the day, mate, that's no goals to open play. We get to open play and the goals in injury time last week, mate. You know, it looks better, the 3-0, but let's be honest, we huffed and puffed last week as well. You know, will the manager, will people say, well, have you upset the apple cart with the 2 new players? Even though I thought one of them done all right.
Possibly, as I said, on form, Diomande was probably felt hard done by not to start. And over time, you felt that him and Raskins had a good partnership. It does give a bit of urgency. But when you bring players in, you'd expect them to come in and play. That's why you brought them to the club in a January window, because you feel they can add something to the team and improve it. Still yet to really see it overall. Chukwueze, again, first half, done some simple breaks up a play and was getting about. Scott Volson, again, wasn't really at it. I know maybe taking time to adjust and find his feet fully, but you expect a wee bit more. But the guys that have been there, given how we've been playing and, as I said, grinding out results, you hope to win every game and you expect them to go and do enough to win a game. But today, across the board, you couldn't really say one player tried as hard as anybody else to try and take the game and win it. Ultimately, mate, that's where it is. But it'll be an interesting few hours, obviously, between now and then to see what changes in transfers, because I think today you can see that where the problem still lies in that final third in particular. Middle to front, there's very, very little.
Creativity, mate. There's some movement already, mate. I think you've got some news in that, haven't you?
Yeah, I do indeed, mate. I believe that Clinton Enciala is set to join Westerlo, who obviously we have just signed 2 Romans from. He'll go on loan with a non-mandatory purchase option. He'll arrive in Belgium tonight for a medical and sign tomorrow, and they'll have an option at the end of the season to sign a contract until 2029. So it looks like Clinton Enciala's on his way out of Ibrox.
Well, we'll see, mate. I've thought a few have went out permanently, mate, whether they take the option up. You know, I think he's got to move. He's got to play football at age he's at, yeah.
Yep.
And we wish him all the best, mate, yeah. No axe to grind. Young boy, try to find his way in the game.
He certainly got something about him. He was at obviously AC Milan before he came us, and they were keen to kind of keep him as well. Whether he would have broke into a team or not is a different story, but they also seen some potential in him. So if he goes and he can reignite his career, then hopefully it does pan out from well. And if he comes back to us, mate, in the summer, if they don't take that option, then we'll see where we're at, where he's at. But I think he's one of these players that just needs to go and play football, particularly early stages of his career. Wish him well if it goes through.
Aye, listen, mate, if you're not a first teamer, we can get some money in if you're not getting in the squad as well. There's economics, I know it'll be massive, but every little helps, you know, and as you build up. Aye, but I'm ultimately disappointed, frustrated, but I honestly feel a bit let down with the performance, mate. And when you talk, they 3 players, or maybe 3.5 if you give Chukwueze first half pass marks, mate. But your defensive mid and your 2 centre backs and your goalkeeper and all the rest, You know, looked as if at times they were running in quicksand, and then trying to pass the ball was poor, mate. You know, and my decision making, what we're talking about, it gets summed up lovely with me at the end, mate, right at the end. And Big Fernandez does lovely, mate. Lovely. He comes out and he's up the park. He's striding forward. You're like, pass it. And you go in and join in at centre forward. And it takes that long to pass it to Raskin that the defender's near enough and tap Raskin, mate. It makes it a more difficult move, mate. It's just tough to learn to pass the ball quicker and more accurate. Because we do some nice things, mate, and then we get it wrong and we give the ball away cheaply. And the problem is the way we play, mate, we only two midfielders. If they're pushing up, because let's be honest, that's all we had was two midfielders, yeah? Would you accept that?
Yep.
Right, so when they're pushing up, mate, if somebody makes a pass or they get it wrong, mate, the other team are right and tap at you. Right and tap at you, mate. And they're getting chances in goal and they're springing. And all your players are caught going the wrong line. So defensively, it's a nightmare because it causes problems. And you've seen it time and time again, yeah? And we're attacking players, the attitude and the desire, the hunger, the application, the lack of skill, the lack of passing, the lack of dribbling. It was all there, mate. It was like the start of the season again.
Aye, and that's what people use reference to and basis on, because we weren't creating anything today. When you look back at the start of the season, it was almost very, very mirror-like, reflective of what it was. Individuals as well, some who were there at the start of the season and some that are still here, putting in the kind of same lack of effort, I'll say, rather than the effort. One other thing for me, mate, as well, is see when we do actually release the ball, see when we get it to wide areas, it's the type of cross we put in. I think you've seen it when Ruskin got to the bar line. He puts it high because Chimicky's in the box. I cannot recall a time where we've really put a low-driven cross in, because you never know where it ends up. We always seem to hang it in the air, and it's either overhit or cleared by a defender. And then when we pull it back to the edge of the box, or we do a low cross, I think it was Aaron's, put one in low to the front post. If he just touches it back towards the penalty spot, edge of the box, Diamondi's there for a strike. It's these simple decisions as well, mate, that you can start to see we're not getting right in critical areas at critical moments.
We had a chance there at death, and by the way, what a bit of defending by that boy Rocky. He made sure he was getting it, and if Diamondi could have just got there first, he would have got cleaned out, mate. Cleaned out, but one guy showed a lot of desire. By the way, I don't know if there was a reason why Diamondi was known, but he affected the game more than most. And even him, you see these passing. Do you remember just at the halfway line, he'd done a brilliant bit of skill?
Mm-hmm.
And then he tried to pass it out. I think it was Goma. I can't remember who was back out in the left back position. Got the pass all right. You know, to run 20 yards to go and get it after a wonderful bit of skill. Yeah.
That's when they cleared the lines from was a set piece. They cleared it up from, and they just kind of done a wee drag back almost.
Aye.
As you said, a simple pass, but by the time Magoma recovers the ball, he turns around and Hibs are set again. They were, let's be fair, Hibs were quite compact and quite hard to break down, but we didn't make it any easier for us because we weren't moving. We were quite static again. The pace and the urgency of the passes just wasn't there. They were getting his time in the ball, but nobody moving into space or trying to gain a yard a space in between the lines or anything. It was, as much as you can credit Hibs for defensively, it's down to us ultimately to move them about the park, chase shadows, but for most parts of that game, mate, we were the ones chasing shadows, and sometimes our own.
And then, because when we were so poor, they were break noses, mate, right and tappies, and their midfield were running through, mate, and sometimes it was like coming through the middle, it was 4-on-2.
Aye, and again, exposed where you would expect maybe somebody with more quality in their side to punish us for a goal. I know Martin Boyd had that big chance, Butland makes a save, but there was moments where they were in as well. I think the boy Scarlett had a chance when he came on for them. Sterling got across and blocked it. Fernandez had a tackle as well and get wiped out. There was a lot of moments in the game where you felt the goal was coming, and unfortunately, it wasn't for us, mate. That it was always, in my eyes, that Hibs looked the most likely to score because of the threat they posed and the chances and space they were in.
We had them with about 20 minutes to go, mate. if we had opportunities, as you rightly point to make chances, but we got it wrong so much, mate. You know, the one that Raskin worked hard, mate, but he was coming away out to particularly the right hand side to get the ball, and then he can't. And then if something goes wrong, there's that big hole in the middle, mate. Oh, yeah.
That's what I touched on in pre-show, that
Aye.
it'd be interesting to see how he played approaching the game, especially when it was him and Chuck Wuani to start with. He couldn't go too far forward and leave Chuck Wuani isolated in the middle of the park, particularly the way they set up, because you're always going to be outnumbered. Even as a two, you're still outnumbered. I think they set up with a 3-5-2 in possession, so you're always going to be chasing the ball. But when he got forward, it's something Raskin does. He likes to get involved with everything, and at times he actually causes more problems for us than he does for other teams because of his runs.
He worked hard. He broke up play sometimes, all right, but creativity-wise, today, nothing, mate, nothing. And
I don't mind him getting forward, but only if we're playing a free midfield, he can go forward because you've got an extra man to cover there. But the way we were set up, him going forward just gave us, as you said, Hibs recover the ball, they're right on top of your defence. You had Sterling pushed up Magoma, who I didn't think got as forward as much as it has been of late. Then you're still exposing yourself and allowing them to come and press. And they had pace to get in behind us and causes problems. You've seen it in the first half particularly. I know they made some changes and maybe took some pace out of the game, but they still posed a threat.
Well, Magoma was our main attacking threat in the first 20 minutes. It was a tactic, mate. And we were playing it down there to get him forward. And obviously, Gasman was coming inside. And we never quite got it right. But I don't know, mate. Once it doesn't work after a couple of times and you know, you're going to use your attacking option, which is a Gasman, mate. I can't remember him going by a player. I can't remember Olsen taking a player on. Yeah.
No, you're right. And it's one thing I picked up quite early on when Magoma did have the ball wide left, that Gassama was moving inside. Gassama's not going to affect the game in the middle of the park. He's going to get out-muscled. He'll fall over and he'll put his hands up and ask for a free kick and not get it. He needs to be, with his pace, he needs to be the guy that gets the ball in behind, runs onto it, or overlaps, whatever. Something coming inside the pitch isn't his game until he's in the edge of the box. I know he can score goals, but when he's doing that so far back, almost into a centre mid role, he's not affecting the game. And it's taking up a space where somebody like an Asgard or a Raskin or Chuck Wuani could drop in and receive the ball. I didn't get the tactic, if I was being honest, mate. I didn't really get it, that one. It didn't work, as you said. If it's not working, change it.
You know, and we talked about Majovsky no shooting. We seen it the day with Big Chikolani. Shamiti. He done the wee step over. He went to his left foot, mate. It's no going to make the pass, mate. He's got to shoot. He's 18 yards for goal and got his chance of getting a shot in. He's got to shoot.
Is that one on his left foot?
First off, mate, he's got to hit it with his left foot, mate.
Aye. As I said, you never know where it ends up. It's the same with a shot or a cross. You put the ball in, you hit it towards goal. If it takes a nick and goes in, you take it all day long.
You know what mad deflections can do? Just that south side yesterday, mate.
Oh, I did see that, mate. I did. That could have went anywhere, and that's exactly what happens. You hit the ball, you never know where it ends up. And ricochet anywhere. As I said, whether it's a cross from us or a shot, sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet and take the hit. So one thing we don't do, mate, is we don't hit shots from outside the box. We try and score what would be a textbook perfect goal, walk it into the box and pass it in.
Anyway, we'll enjoy with our good friend Domarnock. Evening, Domarnock, or afternoon, whatever it is.
Good afternoon, lads. Disappointing there, but I think we were lucky to get a point. And
I agree. I mean, that the back end of the first half, mate, we were lucky to keep them out, and we didn't create enough to score. We can talk about more and that decision all day, but it doesn't matter. Man. That was one incident in the whole 90 minutes, mate. Yeah.
Aye, it was just up front. We were just kind of toothless. When we were counter attacking, there was nobody there supporting. Whoever had the ball, there was just nobody supporting. And if the board don't see that we need a striker, when is it, tomorrow night, then we could be blowing this league. But but as I say, I'm glad we get a point. There's always a European hangover. It does exist, you know what I mean? And it seems to affect us. It does affect other clubs as well, but it always seems to affect us. But you know what? We've got a point back along the M8, and onwards to Ibrox on Wednesday. That's the only thing I can take for it.
And play at pace and thing, but that's the problem. The way the fixtures come, mate, you'll get 3 games in 6 days, you know, and no lot of teams have got that, so we're having to shuffle a pack. But that's not making excuses to man, because we were poor and we looked sluggish, we were slow, we couldn't pass the ball, we lacked creativity. And at times, mate, I don't care who's playing up front, mate, it'll no matter. We don't make any chances.
There was no kind of fight for the whole team, as if go out here and win this. The pressing was poor. It was kind of disjointed. We were sitting too far off them. You need to press together to force mistakes. We weren't doing that, so they were just passing it to their other defenders, and people were just running about like heedless chickens. But very disappointing. Unlucky with Moore's goal, just offside. I don't know if it's his shoulder or something, wasn't it?
Just a fraction, mate, it looks like, but obviously
Danny,
the old linesman must have razor-like glasses, but it would have went to VAR anyway, Robert, and then it would have get chopped after. Marnock's saying the exact same stuff we're saying, mate.
Aye, yeah, Marnock, you're right, mate. I take your point on board as well. It's no secret. I think we are in for a striker in this market, but as Ox said, it doesn't matter who's up front, who's on the team sheet if we're not creating enough. That's why I still think we need a creative midfielder, somebody middle to front. We've got arguably enough wingers that should do the job. Some have showed it in glimpses, some are still yet to show it, but middle to front, I think we still need a creative midfielder who can supply the service to a striker. Whether they're clinical or not shouldn't really matter, because if you've got the chance in front of goal as a striker, you should put it away. But you can only do it if you're getting the service for 1 and 2, being in the right positions. A few times balls come in the box and we've not had somebody in, or we've not had it in the right position. They're going front post and the ball's going back, or vice versa. And I think there was a moment in the game that summed it up. The ball was coming in from Bayrami wide right, and he puts his head up, and there's nobody in the box, but he wins the corner, and he turns around and looks at them all to get in the box. There's no desire. I think you touched on it as well, there, Marnock, that there was no pace, there was no urgency. We didn't look like a team that was hunting down a title, put it that way.
I don't know how Asgard stayed on so long. Defensively.
Don't get me started, mate. Don't get me started, mate. Well, it's hard to just criticise him and people will say you don't like him. I've not been over impressed with him apart from moments, mate. I mean, he's had some wonderful moments. But he said that second half, mate, he done the David McCallum performance, didn't he?
It was poor, and again, Aaron's, I don't know what he brings to the table either. Nothing. You know what I mean?
To be fair, mate, he was on for about 2 minutes, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he had a chance to set us up right in injury time, and again, decision making in the last pass, and we're just so poor at it. Yeah, again, Bezrami's one share the bar at the end as well.
His effort, settle yourself, see what happens, you know. We just don't get anything right. Our decision making's poor. Look, we're talking about the performance here. This season's no gone, mate. We just have to get back on tracks on Wednesday. Yes, it's disappointing, yeah. And with a league campaign, you can have these, you know, and you get difficult places to go. And we weren't yet, you know, and nobody's trying to say we were. But no white flag here, Marnock. I don't think you're the same. I think you're the same, Brad.
No, the league's not been lost today. You know what I mean? Far from it. This is a bump in the road. I didn't think we're going to get a bump in the road today, but you know what? They could be our fault last week, but we know how to play against us. They put everything into us just to try to disrupt our league campaign. But it's done. We dust ourselves down. We need to move on. And simple as that.
We win the next 3 league games, Marnock, yeah.
Aye, yeah. And is one of them away to Motherwell, which will be tough.
Aye, man.
But
Wednesday,
still need to win
next
it.
home. Aye.
So just get back to the winning, get back the momentum back again, winning Wednesday, and then the weekend, and on to beat Motherwell and Motherwell. It's as simple as that. It's not as simple as that, but we still need to go on the grass. But it needs to be 9 points if we're really serious about this
I agree, mate.
challenge.
I agree. One of the things that did surprise me today, Big Fernandez, Boyle, with his pace. I know he's a wee bit more mature now, Boyle, but Big Fernandez just hit the ground up with him. I don't know if you noticed that, Robert.
I certainly stayed with him stride by stride, and listen, Fernandez is a physical presence as well, but we know what Boyle's pace can do. We've seen it over the years in games against us where he can get in behind it. No, I thought Fernandez, I know there's a few moments where he slacked passing, but that can be said for the majority of the team today. A few heart and mouth moments as well, but again, he done what he needed to do at the right times. But again, keeping up with Boyle was not an easy task, but he showed well to keep him quiet enough. You can see if Boyle was getting frustrated. He obviously picked up the yellow card and had a few choice words to the referee as well, which the referee just showed a bit of leniency.
I'm not saying.
He's Boyle an attacker.
What was that? The one?
Is he a centre forward, Boyle?
He was sort of playing. To the left, centre to left, mate. Yeah.
Right. I know it might rock a few boats, but I'll try sign him as an squad player.
I think that ship might have sailed, mate. You know.
Yep.
On that performance, I wouldn't sign him, mate.
No, but he was a threat.
I mean, I think they were shaped a bit today with that today, mate. I think they changed theirs, and after that we struggled, mate. And I think we should have done what we've done in Parkhead at half time, mate. I think we should have went to the 4-3-3.
Aye, and they just kept on losing players and bringing players that haven't started or anything, or players that won the. It's just the whole team was falling apart. Yet we still couldn't beat them, which is disappointing.
No, but if your front four don't do a thing, mate, you're going to struggle to beat anybody.
Aye, yep. I think changes should have been made a bit earlier at half time to keep people a run and maybe going to
my first substitution would have been this is where if you didn't think that Big Chiramani was going to last, you might have took him off. But if you did, mate, I would have took Asgard off at half time, mate. And by the way, I'm not saying he was the worst. I thought actually Gasman was worse than him. If that's possible, yeah, but that's just the way I see it, mate. And people will say you don't like the players, but they do nice things and then they just don't do anything consistently. You need to, when you get into that, when you're a creative player, that's your job to make things happen.
So how Asgard stayed on is beyond me. You know what I mean? I just don't know how he stayed on the full game. Never mind coming out at half time.
But he wasn't alone, to be fair, mate, you know.
Yep.
Aye. Disappointing performance.
Hello.
Oh, hello, we've been joined by John. Afternoon, John.
Afternoon, how's it going? A bit disappointed today. Jack Butland's pulled us out of hole in the first half, I would say, with some excellent saves. Other than that...
Two good saves, mate.
Aye, some great saves in the first half. No trouble so much in the second half. But what I really want to phone in about and talk about is wingers. Now, we've had a succession of wingers in the past couple of seasons. Matondo, Cortez, Ant-Man, now Scott Wilson, even going back to Scott Wright playing, and they're just not getting the way we play. There's nothing going forward with the wingers. Too often you see, even when Ant-Man, when Ant-Man was playing, he'd be looking for a chip or a ball played through to something to run onto, and they're just not getting that. And I'm a bit scared now that Scott Wilson could fall into that category. But the only time they're going to give him the ball is when he's squared up with two defenders. To me, they need to look at the wingers. More than the centre forwards, because the wingers aren't providing in.
I couldn't agree, mate. What I will say, and as much as I'm critical, let Robert come in. Sometimes we make it hard for the wingers because we take too long to get the ball to them, and then the chance of them having space is gone. But out the piece, mate, they've been disappointing. Robert?
You're right, mate. Again, it comes down to the pace of the pass and the urgency of the pass and moving it forward. I mean, you've seen it today. I think a couple of times Scott Wilson got the ball, but by the time he got it, it was basically man for man or 2 against 1 at times. Whereas sometimes the big switch was on and the big open space that you could get the ball and drive forward with it. Again, it's coming back to the pace of the pass, the decision making of the team overall. Gassama's moving inside to allow McGoma to go down the wing, but as a winger, you might be the out ball, not come into the middle and basically congest it more than it already is at times. So, listen, I'll be honest, I don't think we've really had a winger out on the left who's took MD on then a period of time under since it was Ryan Kent, and then on the right side it was Cherney. At times Seaman as well, but since then these guys, as you're mentioning, John, they should have the pace and the quality to get in behind defenders and take them on in the Scottish leagues, but they're not showing it. And again, it possibly comes back to the setup and how we are playing. But urgency is a massive thing for us. Tippy-tappy football between the centre halves at halfway line is going to damage no team. We've got players there who can cause damage, but not using them effectively. And I think that goes for the strikers as well. They're not playing to their strengths at times. They're isolated. Chamiti gets the ball. He's not getting any support. Miovski, we're not playing to his strengths, and he's come under criticism, rightly so, in sometimes with his performances. But that final third is a big concern going forward for me.
John?
Yeah, but I'd just like to add that probably the most productive person we've had this season out wide, even though he's been played in bit parts, was probably Finlay Curtis. You could always guarantee he'd get a ball in or create something with the little game time he had. And I thought he was always going to be a better option than Gassama. Although Gassama chipped in and you could say he scored a couple of goals recently. But the final ball just wasn't there with Gassama. I don't think Gassama ever goes for the line to put a ball in. His gameplay is to cut inside and have a goal. And I'm a wee bit disappointed Finlay Curtis is away as well. We might have to regret that, but I hope we don't.
Possibly,
but definitely need more out of the wide players. More out of the wide players. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Possibly. I agree with you. Finlay Curtis is somebody that has this knack that things happen. You could say that about Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore came on and gave the ball away 3 times and in a moment of magic and got the goal and obviously got the flag against him, but he didn't know that when he had his moment of magic. But out the piece, Olsen and Gassama, who started today, were poor. And we can't deny that, Tom Arnott, can we?
No, and then you get Ant-Man sitting in the wings who's been really poor, so you're not bringing him on. So the manager's not got much to work with, is he, really? Olsen's that he looks quite slow and cumbersome. But hopefully, we've all been talking about. I don't know anything about the guy, to be perfectly honest with you, and they say he's a decent player, so we just need to get up to speed with the Scottish game.
What I've looked into, mate, he has been a decent player, but no kicked a ball for a while, mate.
Right, so we're back to buying potential or people that were decent, and we're hoping the manager can turn them around. And that's failed the last few years, hasn't it?
Well, if the manager wanted him, mate, and he's comfortable with him and thinks he can do a job, I'm happy with that, because I think managers should be able to get their players and build their squad. But obviously, you have to do it. And again, I think you could have took him off at half time, mate. And then had got him ready for another game under his belt and ready for Wednesday night and see if he'd met the offer. It's all of a sudden that's 2 weeks. Your fitness should be starting to come. You're playing your 3rd game. If you've not played for a wee while, but it doesn't excuse Gassama's performance also, mate. He's playing every week and turning up and he's not hiding. But he's not performing consistently for me. I mean, the last 2 games he scored 2 goals. I mean, the one as substitute against Dundee was a beezer. And then he gets the goal early in Porto, mate. But after that, look at his performance. Getting the ball away, wrong decisions. constantly, mate. Constantly. Robert?
And that lies the frustration with Gassama because, as you say, 2 goals in the past 2 games before today, and then what he produced at the start of the season when you thought we had a bit of a player in the hands here. He looked fast, he was tricky, he was taking players on then, scoring goals. He's regressed so much, he's not really kicked on. And again, I've said it before in previous shows, when Danny Rule came in, having previously worked with Gassama, I thought he would have been the one to really stand out, push on, show glimpses of what he's got going forward and do it on a consistent basis. But I think for me, mate, there's an attitude thing there with Gassama. We've had players in the past, Cantwell had an attitude. Off the top of my head, Cantwell was one under Clement, and I feel Gassama could possibly be in that kind of same bracket of when he's not happy, he's not going to perform, and whatever the bees in the bonnet, he'll let it affect him rather than just going out and showing on the pitch that his actions actually speak louder than his words. Put in consistent performances to go over it. I think it's an attitude thing with Gassama. I know he's young, but as you say, he's played the second or third most minutes of the whole team. He can do it. He's just not doing it enough.
Aye. I think we all agree with you, John. I think we all agree with you. And by the way, only by hindsight with Finlay Curtis, I think he's going to play their games, but would you have been too upset if he'd come on at somebody? I don't know if you would have been, would you?
No. I hope he gets some game time at Kilmarnock and does well and comes back a better player. Because I definitely be looking for him next season to kick on and be pushing for it if he does come back to push on and try and get more first game experience and providing assist goals, because that's what he's there for. But in that whole time we had him, obviously at the start of the season he started like a bit of a fire train and go off well, and then he took a wee injury and Gassama came in. Gassama got the jersey, and at the start Gassama was flying, so he didn't mind Finlay Curtis being out so much, but you're still looking for him to be involved. But it just didn't happen. Hopefully it does.
Last word for you, John. We're going to wrap up, mate. Last word.
Aye, well, we're going to the next game. A bit disappointed, but nothing's been lost. Maybe we got away with a point. When we look back at the end of the season, it's a point gained rather than 2 points dropped. But the game was there to be won, but 100%. We just didn't perform on the day. But we'll look for more midweek.
But we didn't perform. You're spot on. Kilmarnock, last word, mate.
I'm just looking at the board now to get a couple of signings in tomorrow, and then I'm looking to the fans to turn up on Wednesday, a full house, and we need. And if it's biting their fingernails, then stay to the end. You know what I mean? Don't be running away to the pub and some poor excuse about whatever. You know what I mean? My motor's parked here in the traffic. The team needs us. You know what I mean? If we're winning 2-3-0, fair enough. So be loyal if you want, but if it's a tight game, we need to be staying to the end. That's it. Onwards and upwards. Let's get this league going.
Did I just say that referee was atrocious today? By the way, McDermott said that I'm up at he must have missed 3 corners to Rangers in the first 10 minutes. That's what you're up against.
Certainly a strange ref, mate. But I mean, the big decision was the offside, but that wasn't his. But certainly a strange ref. But it wasn't his fault. We couldn't pass the ball. Robert, last word.
Cheers for having me on again today, mate. Obviously disappointing to not win the game, but you can't argue when we don't do enough to win the game in the first place. But as Kilmarnock says, onwards to Wednesday night to get the wins back on the board, because every game becomes massive, as we've said, mate. So on to Wednesday it is. Cheers for having me.
Cheers, mate. Thanks to Kilmarnock and John for joining us, Robert for doing the show, Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of debate and maybe some excitement if there's any movement. Take it away, Old School Blue.